As I go through the notes on my computer, please make sure that you pause as needed so that you can write the notes on your own packet. This is part of your classwork grade for the week. Objective is you should be able to say, I can graph positive and negative integers and find their opposites. So here we have a picture of some people playing football. It says Fergal is recording the number of yards his school's football team gained or lost on successive plays. How can you model or represent the opposite of each loss or gain shown in the table? If there is a gain of 2 yards, the opposite of that is a loss of 2 yards. If there's a loss of 4 yards, the opposite of a loss is a gain. So there is a gain of 4 yards. If there is a loss of 8 yards, the opposite of a loss is a gain of 8 yards. And if there's a gain of 13 yards, the opposite of a gain is there will be a loss of 13. And a loss of 2 yards, the opposite of a loss is a gain of 2 yards. Okay, you can check to see how you did. And it tells you a gain and a loss of the same number of yards are opposites. You keep the same number, but you change the word to its opposite. Let's build your understanding. A positive number is a number greater than 0. A negative number is a number less than 0. Positive numbers can be written with or without a positive sign, but they are usually written without it. Negative numbers are always written with a negative sign. So here we have a number line. Positive numbers are to the right of 0. Okay, so that means we have positive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. Notice there aren't any positive signs here. But negative integers, they start at 0 and they go back -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. Now there are numbers in between here, right? We can have a fraction from 0 to 1. Here would be positive 1/2. Here would be positive 1.5. I just want you to understand that there are a range of numbers involving fractions and decimals in between both positive integers and negative integers. So the results of 3 football plays are shown in the table. In a football game, if there's a 4-yard gain, the way we would write that is just 4. It's a positive because there was a gain. If there's a 1-yard loss, well, the way we would write that is -1 because we lost 1 yard. A 4-yard loss would be -4 because we lost 4 yards. So now we're going to complete this sentence. In this situation, 0 represents a net gain. So is it a positive, no net gain or loss, or is it a net loss? Well, a 0 would be no net gain or loss. We didn't lose anything, we didn't gain anything. 0 is just our center, it's balanced. What do negative numbers represent in this situation? Choose the best description. Negative numbers, do you think it represents yards gained? Negative numbers represent no gain or loss? Or negative numbers represent yards lost? So positive, 0, or negative? Well, negative numbers mean that we lost yards. In football, the team is always trying to move forward. Negative numbers means that the team is being pushed backward. So that means yards are lost. For letter C, we're going to choose the correct phrase to complete the sentence. Positive numbers represent, we have the same options. Positive means that we're gaining yards. That's a good thing. The team wants to move forward. Now we're going to use this tool. Click the drawing symbol. You're going to complete the number line by adding labels that are missing. Then identify the results from the table by clicking those points on your graph. Okay, so I would prefer to start with the positive numbers, and I'm going to write them in green, although you do not have to. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now let's go backwards to our negative numbers. We have 0, then we're going to have negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. Whoop. It's hard to write. Negative 4 and negative 5. Let's save it. I'm going to draw our results. We gained 4 yards. We lost 1 yard. Then we lost 4 yards. So it's negative 4. So the question here is, how can you describe a pattern in the positive numbers as you move left to right on a number line? Does the same pattern apply for negative numbers as well? Then you're going to explain. So here we should know that positive numbers increase from left to right. The same goes for negative numbers. For 2 numbers on a number line, the number to the left is always less than the number on the right. This should make sense because if we look here, 0 is less than 1, less than 2, less than 3, less than 4, less than 5. If we have negative numbers, if you owed the bank $5, we have negative 5. That's less money that you have. If you had negative 4, it's less than negative 3, which is less than negative 2, which is less than negative 1. Let's continue building our understanding. Vocabulary word that you have is opposites. 2 numbers are opposites if on a number line they are the same distance from 0 but on different sides of 0. Integers are the set of all whole numbers and their opposites. So this number line shows all the integers between negative 5 and 5. Okay, so opposites are the same distance from 0. Integers are these numbers in between. Okay, so if we have negative 2, what would the opposite be? You're going to graph negative 2 and its opposite. Well, here is 0, so we're going to count back negative 1, negative 2. And the opposite of negative 2 has to be 2 spaces from 0 in the opposite direction. 1, 2. Let's check. Okay, so we can think about the football situation we just had. If you lose 2 yards, the opposite of that would be gaining 2 yards. The opposite of -2 is 2 units to the right of -2, left of 0, or right of 0. The opposite of -2 will be 2 units to the right of 0. Opposites are the same distance from 0, but on different sides of 0. All right, we check our work. It basically re-explains it for us down here. Opposites are the same distance from 0, but are on different sides of 0. So the opposite of -2 is 2. The integer 3 is 3 units from 0, aka 3 spaces from 0 on the number line. Which integer is also 3 units from 0 on the number line? Complete the sentence with the correct integer. Okay, so we know 3 is 3 units from 0 on the number line. What else would be 3 units from 0? Well, -3 would also be 3 units from 0. The opposite of 3 would be the same distance. So let's find the correct term. The integer that is 3 units left of 0 on a number line is the equivalent of 3, the opposite, or the reciprocal. You should say the opposite. -3 is the opposite of 3. You can't see a little positive symbol here, but we know if we don't see a negative sign in front of a number, then it's going to be positive. How many units from 0 is 0 on the number line? Choose which best answers the question. Okay, so how many units from 0 is 0 on the number line? All right, that's a trick question. If we look at the number line, how far is 0 from 0? Well, it's the same place, right? So 0 is 0 units from 0 on the number line. What is the opposite of 0? Okay, so if I look at my number line, what is the opposite of 0? When we look at opposites, we're looking to see that they're the same distance. But if you're looking at 0, there is no opposite. That's like the center of this balance beam. So the opposite of 0 is 0 because there are no other numbers that are 0 units from 0. Whew, I'm tired of saying 0. Let's check D. The opposite of 5 is written as the opposite, so negative, of -5. The opposite of 5 is going to be, so what is the opposite of -5? The opposite of -5 is 5. So think about opposite of -5. Okay, so the opposite is 5 because the opposite of 5 is -5. And the opposite of -5 is 5. So this would kind of be like saying, I am not happy. I am not unhappy with you. That means I am happy with you. All right, we are almost done. Here we have a picture of a monthly report and showing us the price of the amount of money made for different things. Jessie is the student treasurer for the video game club. She records club expenses as negative numbers and she deposits to the club account as positive numbers. She graphed these amounts on the number line. So snacks cost the club -6. So it cost the club $6. That means -6. Pencils cost them $2, but they collected 4. Jessie did not label every tick mark on her number line. So she didn't put 1 or 3. Okay, so she didn't label that. We're going to choose the appropriate values, the appropriate numbers to complete the statement in regard to Jessie's number line. So Jessie labeled the tick marks for -8 and 8. And graphed number -6, -2, and 4. So using this information, I want to know, what is every tick worth? Well, the tick marks on Jessie's number line are all multiples of 2. Because I can think 2, 4, 6, 8, -2, -4, -6, -8. So it's kind of using the pieces that we were given to solve that little mystery. The tick mark between -6 and -2, well, let's count the multiples of 2. -2, -4. So we should say -4. Where would Jessie put a point to correctly show an expense of $5 on the graph? Okay, so I got to think of this word expense. Does that mean that they are making money or losing money? You should think an expense means you're paying money out, so losing money. So where would 5 be? Would it be between -6 and -4? -4 and -2? Between 2 and 4? Or between 4 and 6? So an expense of 5, we got to think -2, -4, -6. -5 is kind of hidden on here because we don't have the tick mark. But if this is 4, here would be 5, and here's -6. So it's between -6 and -4. Jessie's number line has a 0 in the middle. Do you think this always has to be the case? So something that's true about numbers is that they go on forever and ever. That's why we call this a number line. Negative numbers will always continue this way, and positive numbers will always continue this way. You do not have to start every number line with having 0 in the middle. Most of the time you will see it with a 0 in the middle when you work with positive integers and negative integers, because that's what separates negative and positive numbers. But that does not have to be the case. So what we can say is that 0 divides a number line into positive and negative numbers, but a number line can start or stop at any place. Almost done. The morning temperature in a large city in Minnesota was recorded each day for 7 days. The temperatures recorded were -2 degrees Fahrenheit, 4 degrees Fahrenheit, 0 degrees Fahrenheit, 2, -4, -7, and -10. Okay, so something that's helpful for me is when I see a negative number, I like to mark it in red. You do not have to, but that's how I do it with your bank accounts. 4 would be green. 0 is in the middle. It's neither positive or negative, so I wouldn't color that. 2 would be green. -4 would be red, and so on. Okay, so this is really helpful for me when I'm thinking about integers. I need to find where these integers fall on this number line. Now notice this number line is going up and down. They do not have to always go sideways. So if I have 0 here, and then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my positives go up, and then -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. My negatives are going down. So let's find where -7 would be. So I'm going to go below 0, and I could think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. -7 belongs here. -4, that's going to be right before -5. +2. So I'm going to go above 0, 1, 2. Oops, I made a mistake. This is showing you 0. Count up 1, 2. That's +2. All right, let's look here. What is this value? If this is -2, if this is +2, we have +3, +4. If we have -1, here we have -2. And down here, we are already given -10. Let's check our work. Awesome. So anything above 0 will be positive. Anything below 0 will be negative. Which pairs of temperatures are opposites? And we need to select all that apply. So opposites are the same distance from 0. -2 and +2? Yes. They're both 2. It's just one's negative, one's positive. -10 and 0? No, they are not the same distance from 0. -4 and 4? Yes, those are opposites. -7 and 0? Those are not opposites. They are not the same distance from 0. Opposites are they the same distance or different distances? We've talked about this. Opposites are the same distance from 0, but they are on different sides of 0. Let's complete this sentence. The opposite of -7 is -14, -1/7, or 7. The opposite of -7 would be +7 because it is the same distance from 0, but on the opposite side of 0. For letter D, let's select all the sentences that are true. Is it true that a point at 10 represents 10 degrees below 0? +10, is that 10 degrees below 0? No, because it's not -10. Is 10 showing you 10 degrees above 0? That's true because it's +10. Is the opposite of the opposite of 10 -10? These ones are always tricky with all these words. The opposite of an opposite of 10. So let's first think, what is the opposite of 10? The opposite of 10 is -10. So then what's the opposite of -10? That's +10. So instead, we should select the opposite of 10 is 10. When a temperature is the opposite of another temperature, the two temperatures are the same number of degrees from 0, but on opposite sides of 0. So let's talk. How can opposites help you talk about real-world values? So real-world numbers. Let's think about your bank accounts on Bankaroo. Opposites can be used for positive numbers, or we can call this a deposit in the bank. And for negative numbers, debts in a bank account. Let's see what they said. Opposites can be used to discuss debts or negative balances and payments. All right, so let's think. Were you able to meet today's objective? That is your exit ticket when you're completing your work. The goal was I can graph positive and negative integers and find their opposites. Do you feel you're able to graph them? And do you understand what an opposite is? Think about it.